Hello, and welcome to part 2 of this tutorial series about how to make a Japanese dojo in Blender. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the procedural doors and the paper material. Now, without further ado, let's open the previous project and start from where we left. Let's start by selecting everything. Then select the camera and the floor to exclude them from the selection. Move the selected columns to a new collection that we are calling columns. Collapse and hide the collection and the walls object. Now let's add a plane object to the scene. In edit mode, rotate it 90 degrees and scale it down in the x-axis to 1.3 meters. Scale it up along the z-axis to 2.18 meters. Expand the area on the left and switch to the Geometry Nodes editor. We are now going to make a procedural Japanese door. Let's add a separate geometry node and set it to edge. Add an edge neighbors node and connect the face count output to a greater than node. Connect it to the separate geometries selection and set the value to 1. This way we separate the borders of the door from the inside stuff. Add a mesh to curve node, then connect a curve to mesh. That's because we are first converting the edges into curves, and then convert the curves to wooden parts. Add a quadrilateral node and connect it to the profile of the curves. Switch to edit mode and with Ctrl-R, add some loop cuts to the plane. Decrease the size of the profile, and insert loop cuts in the other axis too. Increase the size of the profile just a bit more. Add a group input node and connect a new socket to the width and height of the quadrilateral. This allows us to dynamically change the size of the profile in the Modifiers tab. Set the material to wood by adding a Set Material node. Now add a group input and a Set Material nodes. Add a new material and call it paper. Add a join geometry and join both the wooden parts and the paper sheet. Take the inverted selection and convert it to curve with a mesh to curve node, then to mesh again with a curve to mesh node. Duplicate the quadrilateral node and connect it to the profile. Add a group input and connect a new socket to the width and height of the quadrilateral and call it border width. Set the material to wood and join it with the rest of the geometry. Also add a Set Shade Smooth node and uncheck the Shade Smooth option to flatten the shading of the wooden parts. Add a bevel node and change these 4 parameters to something low like 0.002. Increase the border width so we get a thicker border. Now, as you can see, there is an issue. The wooden border is not straight. This happens because the curve to mesh node doesn't account for corners thickness. This is why I'm using my own curve to mesh node, which accounts for even thickness. I'll leave the link for the download in the description. So after appending it into the current project, let me add my curve to mesh node and move it in place of the Blender's default one. And here we go. As you can see now, the wooden parts are straight and flat. For the paper material, let's switch to the shader editor. Add an object coordinates node. Then add a random object info node and multiply the value by 10. Then add it to the object coordinates. Add a noise texture and change the parameters as shown. Then use a map range node to control the contrast. Set it as the factor of a mix color node. Make the first color dark yellow and the second one light yellow. Get the random output and connect a mix node. Enable thin wall and connect the mix node to the weight of the subsurface scattering. This makes the plane act as a thin layer of paper. Alright, now that we are done with the paper material, let's add a cube object to the scene and scale it down. Then scale it up along the x-axis. This is the bottom piece of the door, which is taller than the rest of the borders. Add a bevel modifier to it, and assign the wood material. Let's duplicate the door using ATLD. This makes the duplicated mesh actually linked. Duplicate also on the left side. Let's now duplicate this piece and move it at the top. Scale it up along the Z and the X axis. Like that. Duplicate the door, switch to edit mode and delete everything. Then add a new plane mesh. Rotate it 90 degrees. Scale it down along the Z-axis. And add some loop cuts with Ctrl R. Add 2 loop cuts here and scale them along the Z-axis. Like that. Move it to the left. Duplicate it. And make it smaller so that they both fit. But leave a gap at the center. Duplicate this piece and scale it down along the x-axis. Also scale this piece along Y. Refine the scale of this piece so that it fits between the left and right panels. Select all the door pieces and move them into a new collection, which we are going to call Door 1. Add a new empty plane axis object to the scene, switch to the Object Properties tab, and under Instancing select the Door 1 collection. Now unhide the columns and the walls. Then move the door instance. Enter X-ray mode. Rotate it by -90 degrees and move it to the left side of the dojo. Align the column, then duplicate the door and move it aligning it to the column. It's necessary to be a bit precise here and not leave gaps as they may lead to light leaking later on. Move the column close to the door. Now let's unhide Door 1. Select these 3 pieces and duplicate them. Then move them to the scene collection. Scale this down to fit the door size. Enter edit mode here and delete some vertices so that we can fit the size of the door. Now duplicate this piece and move it to the bottom. Scale it down along the Z-axis, like that. Scale it down also along the Y-axis. Then select the door pieces and move everything up a bit. Rotate it 90 degrees along the Z-axis. Then move it to the left side of the dojo. Align it here. Unhide door 1. Duplicate this piece and move it down. Scale it down so that it fits this door. Then Alt-D to duplicate it and move to the right door. And to the left one. Right-click the door 1 collection and select all objects, then move them all slightly up. Now duplicate this door and position it near the column. Move this column close to the door, then duplicate this door again. Select this door pieces, duplicate them, rotate 180 degrees along the Z-axis, and move it to the right side of the dojo. Move this column to the side of the door. And now let's repeat the process. Duplicate, rotate, and move. Remember to also move the columns properly. They have to touch the doors, otherwise light will leak through them. Basically, we are mirroring the left side of the dojo. Select the walls object and enter edit mode. Select these faces and delete them. We no longer need them since all the doors have been placed. Let's call the walls object walls. Now add a new collection and name it doors. Then select all the doors and door pieces and move them into the doors collection. Select the door 1 collection, right-click and duplicate the collection, then rename the duplicated collection to door 2. Delete these pieces. We are now going to make another door type. Scale this piece to fit the door dimensions. Delete this and move this panel to the center. Let's now disable the modifier to see the vertices. Select and delete these, then select and delete these too. Now select the 4 left vertices and press F to create a face. Scale it down. Let's add loop cuts here and here, then enable the modifier back again. Let's now do the same for this panel. Select and delete these vertices. Then select the 4 remaining ones and create a face. Add some loop cuts along the Z-axis and along the X-axis. Refine it here and there. Now that we got the door 2 ready, let's hide it. Add an empty object and instance the door 2 collection. Now move it forward. Enable X-ray mode and move it to the left, near the wooden column. Duplicate. Move and place near the columns. Repeat this process until you get a whole row of doors at the end. This door can be scaled to fit the whole row of doors, so that there are no holes. And here we go. And now, a small fix to the wooden pieces. See, the orientation of the wood texture is incorrect? That's because we have to rotate the object by 90 degrees. Do so, and then in edit mode scale it down along the Z-axis. Then scale it up along the X-axis until it aligns with the door. See? Now the wood texture fits the object. Let's do the same for door 2. Rotate it 90 degrees and scale down. That's it. Thank you for following me through to the end of this video. See you in the next one. Have fun.